Hey guys, Brad Nickham here. I have another amazing interview coming at you. Today, we're going to talk to Alec Baca, the brand manager for NueveUno Tequila, an amazingly traditionally made, authentic, additive-free tequila that is part of one of the most amazing families in the world of tequila. And I hope you really like this one. I think you'll enjoy it very much. All right, guys. Well, I'm really excited to be here today with Alec Baca, and I'm really excited to hear the story of Nueve Tequila. So, Alex, welcome.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. Again, my name's Alec Baca. I represent NueveUno Tequila. I wear many hats within the company, a small brand, small company. I'm primarily the national brand ambassador. So bottom line is I get to officially represent the brand in the US, and every once in a while, once a month, once every 6 weeks, I'm down at the distillery in Amatitan, and I'm either drinking NueveUno here in the US or drinking it direct from the source in Amatitan. So it's a good way to sum up what I do.
That's a fantastic job. I think I would be.
You would hate it.
No, I drink enough tequila. You'd think I had a job doing it already, and I've already got a start on you. So I started with sipping on the Blanco here.
It's fantastic. Good job.
So I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. Where are you right now?
I am in the city of Corona, which is in Southern Cal, right next to Riverside. From here, again, I go down to Jalisco, as I said, pretty often throughout the year. But I'm based out of Southern Cal.
That's fantastic. I love Southern California. If it wasn't so expensive to live there, I wouldn't have to put up with the weather, with it being so inexpensive to live here.
Yeah, man, I hear you.
So tell me about your journey into tequila and what your background is before we dive into the brand.
Okay, excellent. I can do that. So I've been in the industry for, probably about 15 years now. I started with a small brand, Azuña Tequila. I came on board with them when they first started. My job at the time was to be the distillery liaison. Once again, all it meant was that I got to go to the distillery and say, hey, I'm the guy representing all the guys trying to sell your tequila in the US. And here I am. And over time, the brand grew and, faced many challenges. And, it's still there, still alive, great brand. And I became good friends with Enrique Partida, who was the managing partner at the time of Agaveros Unidos de Amatitan, who owns Rancho Miravalle. Now, the distillery is Rancho Miravalle. Rancho Miravalle is well known, aside from Azuña, for also being the distillery for Cabo Wabo. So this is distillery NUM 1426. Cabo Wabo was there, went out, you may know that story. Azuña came in, and then Azuña is still there. But one of the things that happens there is that every so often the managing partner position rotates. So someone else took on that position. Enrique Partida took a step back, still one of the 7 partners, 7 owners. And he decided to, because he wasn't running the day-to-day operations, to start a brand with his daughter, Nohemí Partida. So here enters Nohemí. And this is right around 2018, 19. And then I'll get into Nohemí's vision and what she wanted. But that's how I came about being friends with Enrique Partida, and things, me moving on from Azuña and, still wanting to be in the market, in the industry, talking to Enrique Partida. Enrique saying, hey, we have this project. What do you think? I said, absolutely. And this is in 2021, and I've been with them since. So it's, again, just wanted to sum it up. Like I said, I have a lot to say about the brand and Nohemí, who's wonderful. But that's kind of like my, 60-second intro on myself.
That's fantastic. That's back in the day when Cabo Wabo was good tequila.
You said it.
Yep.
It was made
I know it.
Distillery at the time.
Exactly. Over my shoulder, there's old school blue bottle Cabo Wabo, which is kind of the first tequila that I really experienced as good tequila, a traditionally made tequila, and then went away. So that's the way the celebrity brand goes usually, right?
Absolutely.
So Nohemí is not only the founder of this tequila, she's also the master distiller, correct?
Nohemí is the founder. She's the master distiller, along with her dad Enrique. She's the owner, and basically what you see there, Brad. I mean, it's her creation, it's her dream, it's her vision. Talking about the bottle, the design on the bottle, the label, the cap, and obviously the liquid. I mean, that's 100% Nohemí.
So that leads me to a question. I know this wonderful stopper has to have a pretty awesome significance because one, you don't put that much effort into crafting such a cool topper if there's not a great story behind it. So what's the story behind that?
Absolutely. And you're right. And it goes with the story behind the name NueveUno. As you may know, NueveUno in Spanish means 9-1. And the story is that it's also the reason why Nohemí created NueveUno. The individual, Enrique Partida Sr., who started all of this for the Partida family. And there are many Partidas in Mexico. I like to say Partida in that part of Amatitan is like Smith here in the US, right? Excuse me. So the Partidas out of Amatitan, everything started with Enrique Partida Sr. And many years ago, he passed away. Many years ago, he came to the US like many migrants looking to work and provide for his family. And he started doing that as a teenager, sending money home. He went back to Amatitan and then he settled down there. And the money that he had, he started buying with the money he made here. He started buying land, bought a house, and he started working with different people. And many times, instead of people that owed him for whatever job he did for them, instead of if they couldn't pay him cash, he said, "Well, just give me an acre, give me half an acre, give me some land." And he started over time acquiring land different ways until collectively with his family and a partner, they became one of the biggest landowners, agave field owners in all of Jalisco. So he was primarily an agave farmer. And they still describe themselves as agave farmers, the Partida family. And they grew and he grew and grew and grew. And at one point decided to build the Rancho Miravalle distillery, where Cabo Wabo was made, Miravalle Tequila, which is their local tequila that it's not in the US, it's only down there in Amatitan. Well, as this is happening, as he's a father, then he's a grandfather, Nohemí comes along, and Nohemí spends a lot of time with her grandfather, Enrique Partida Sr. So as an adult, she went to university in Guadalajara. She worked for multinationals, but then she always had very fun memories of being at the farm and being at the distillery and being in the agave fields with her grandfather. 2015, grandfather gets sick. He passes away, and he passes away at the age of 91. So the brand, it's a way to pay homage to her late grandfather. Nohemí goes back to Matitan and then takes over, helps her father now run the family business, which again is primarily being agave farmers, growing agave, selling agave in the open market, what's needed for their own distillery, and then in this case creating this brand. If you look at the top, the cap, it has two numbers. It's not 1991, it's 19 and 91. The 91 stands for 9-1, NueveUno. And the 19 is for Nohemí's birthday, which happens to be both hers and Enrique's birthday, her father, are on the same day, February 19th. So those are the, numbers, not just in Mexican culture, but in many cultures, a lot of significance, behind numbers. And so a lot of people don't notice that there are two numbers there. And again, it's not 1991, it's 19 and 91. Again, cap designed by Nohemí. The wonderful. I love the one logo. I mean, same thing, something that she designed. But everything has a story behind that bottle, and everything's traced back to Nohemí's vision and what she wanted for a particular reason within her life and what she's trying to achieve with the brand.
But I love the traditions. That's why I think these videos go so well with people because, sure, someone's out there drinking a Coke or a Pepsi or a Sprite, and it's just a pop, right? It's just a drink. And even in American beer and in a lot of the bourbons, the traditions or the stories are now gone. It's just been washed over with all of these brands.
Right.
But tequila, to me, seems like it has more tradition and rooted in family and really highlighting traditionally made, authentic tequilas and showing what that story is and why this is what you should be pulling off the shelf when you're shopping for tequila. That goes back to the heart of why I love this so much. I think it's so awesome.
Absolutely.
The logo, the bottles. I mean, it's This is a beautiful presentation. There's on the bottom of the bottle, it has a neat design too, which you don't usually see a design on the bottom
Right.
of the bottle. What's the story behind the bottom? Is there a
Agave.
significance to that?
It's a piña down there. So if you look at it,
Okay,
yeah,
that's what I thought. You could
it's
see it
a
more.
harvested bola or agave.
See, so I didn't notice it looking at the bottom. That's why I was struggling. But when you put it down and you look at it into the bottle, now
Yes.
you can see that
Then
concave
you
of
can
the
tell I'm looking
pina.
at the bottle that I have. Yep. And it's meant for you to look at it. Not a lot of people turn over a bottle. Well, we do in our industry. We look at a bottle from every angle, but consumers just look at the bottle from, yeah. But if you look at it from the top looking down, then it's there it is.
I totally see it now. That is really super cool. So one of the things I learned today that I thought was really neat, and I'm really bad at Spanish. I'm learning, right? I want to learn Spanish. I've been going to Mexico for 20 years. You'd think I would quit being lazy and just learn some good Spanish. But so Agaveros un y dos de Ematatan, right?
Uh-huh.
That is
Agaveros
Rancho
Unidos de Matitan. Yeah, that's
Miravalos,
it.
right?
Mhm.
And
Rancho
from what I
Miravalle.
understand, that means Agave Growers United.
Yes, United Agave Growers from Amatitan. It's a somewhat popular name. I'm sorry, Brad, go ahead.
Because they were farmers, is that what they were thinking when they came up with that name, to that they were agave growers?
Well, I mean, think about it. If you're a small or even a medium-sized, agave grower, how are you going to compete with the big guys? Whether it's a corporation, whether it's one of the big, brands that has tens of thousands of acres, or an individual that has accumulated as much acreage, to grow and sell agave. If you're a little guy with, a few hundred acres or 1,000 acres, then how are you going to be able to compete? Well, you partner with someone. So
Sure.
in this case, there are seven. Well, now that there's six partners that are Agaveros Unidos de Matitan. And these individuals came from, they're the children of Enrique Partida Sr. and Mr. Rivera, Chava Rivera, which was the partner of, he also passed away, of Enrique. So they're the two, right, that came together and formed this partnership. And then their kids are the ones that now run the business, run the distillery. And in turn, their children are getting ready to, at one point, take like Nohemí. Nohemí, she's a granddaughter, but she's already running, she has her own brand, helps with the distillery, making a new distillery that will be just for NueveUno. But again, Agaveros Unidos comes from the fact that you want to partner as a small guy in order to be competitive against the big guys.
That's so cool. It's really neat how people work together like that. So I read quite a bit today. I wanted to kind of catch up on. I knew a lot about the brand, but some of the intricacies of the brand I didn't know. And, just learning sometimes what the meaning is behind something makes it mean so much more. So let's start with talking about the process. So the agaves that are being used, they're obviously growing their own agaves.
Yes.
And then are they all Valles agaves?
Yes, 100%. So we are one of the few brands left that, I wouldn't say the only one. I know there are a few other brands that can claim the same, that 100% of the agave we need for our brand come from our own fields, which are within the region where our distillery is. Now, and as you
Awesome.
know, it's rare. It's probably going to change again now with now that we're going to have we have already a huge surplus of agave and prices have dropped and all that. But for the last few years, then we were one of the very last brands, very few brands where all of the agave needed for the brand came from our own fields.
Yeah, and that's really hard to find from what I've learned in the tequila, Ataman region. Is a lot of the valleys don't have enough of their own. Where it's really awesome that you guys do, because then you can pick and choose.
Right.
And use the agaves you want to. And then I bet when you have agaves you don't want to use, there's probably other brands that buy those agaves from you guys, don't they?
That's exactly it. And that's why I said earlier, Brad, that they're primarily agave farmers. So the primary business that Enrique and Nohemí have, they grow agave and have agave fields. They sell, a lot of it in the open market, but we keep what we need for NueveUno. And obviously over time that we're keeping more and more and more. The goal is to eventually keep all of it, not sell any of it, not have to sell any of it in the open market.
So you can sell those ones that you don't want to use anymore.
Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah,
Uh,
we're keeping the best.
I learned that one time that all of the leather in a Lexus is purchased from Bentley and Rolls Royce, and it's the leather that they turn down.
Okay.
And I thought that makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
So you guys get to be the Rolls Royce of the agave farms there, and let everybody else be whatever they are.
I'll take it. I'll take it.
So I noticed you guys are certified organic. So there's not a lot of brands that I don't know of any other brands that are certified organic and kosher that are doing their own fields and are able to make that a statement. Is that true? There's not a lot of other brands that are like that?
Yes, I believe it's true. And many times when presenting the brand, what I point out is that one of the things, or probably the key thing that makes things that make NueveUno unique, are the fact that we're the only tequila that's organic, kosher, additive-free, non-GMO, single estate, female-owned, female master distiller. Now, if you take any one of those, or maybe a couple, you can apply to a few other brands, but collectively, all those attributes, I believe, only apply to NueveUno. So, yes.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And it's good to see women-owned brands and women master distillers.
Yes.
You know, women usually have better taste than men. It's just how it works, right? So,
absolutely.
And that's a great evolution because, you know, sure, this multi-generations, but it's great to some of those generations get to be women that then step up and do what grandpa did or what dad did. I think that's really, really cool. So in the fields, are you guys doing any type of additional crops within your fields? Like you're just doing all agave?
Well, again, our fields are certified. Yep, our fields are certified organic, and the organic certification starts with the fields, with the agave. So we have to be careful what we can and cannot do in the fields. So some agave farmers, in their fields, they grow other things, in between the agaves and the rows, or they'll let cattle graze in their fields. So no, not us at all.
I seen that when we were down there in August, and I thought y'all got some tough cattle to be able to graze in between those agave plants, because I have like 4 very large Americana plants, and I move them in the wintertime, and they're in big pots, and we move them outside in the summertime, and we're all bloody every time we move them because they bite you. And I thought, how are those cows going in between there? And there's some tough cows. And when we were there going through at the time, we did notice, you know, some of the fields would have corn growing along with agave. Some were just really cleanly cultivated. Some had grass. So, you know, I thought that was really interesting. And, you know, in the States, we do a lot of crop rotation, you know, because you're planting something new every year. So a lot of beans, then corn, and, you know, sunflowers and that kind of thing. So that's been interesting to me as someone that came from a farm town, understanding how you guys do that. I think it's pretty cool. So let's talk about the process. Let's dig into this amazing Blanco that you have. So tell me what your guys' process is once you've brought those piñas back to the distillery.
Okay, so once the piñas are hand selected, it'll be either Enrique or Nohemí going out to the fields. And typically, what you see, you've been down there, what you see is that, okay, as a distillery, let's go with, you have your own fields, right? So you have so many acres that has enough agave for that batch that you want to cook, that you want to move forward with. And then you go through the entire field, load it up, take it back to the distillery, because it's just more efficient. You go to that area, you harvest all of that, and you're done. What Enrique will do, he'll go out there, and a day before his workers go and harvest, and he'll, clip some of the agaves to let them know this one, this one, this one, this one, and the ones that are not, clipped, if you will, then they stay, and they'll come back at a later time, whether it's a few weeks or a month or whatever, and take care of those. So when I say, they're hand selected, then that's exactly what the partidas are doing with those agaves. They're taken back to the distillery, usually cut in half, and they go, and we have a traditional horno oven. So, they'll be in there 24 hours, rest for another 12 hours, and then it just goes through the regular process, have 4 passes. And then it'll be a natural yeast, airborne yeast fermentation, and it goes through a double distillation. Again, pretty typical. Nohemí stops right at 56%. And then at that point, then that's where the key process that makes even more than before selecting the agave and all of that comes to play with what Nohemí's doing, where, she's letting the tequila rest a certain period of time. And the one time I asked her, well, how many days? And she just smiled and said, well, That's the family recipe there, Alex. We don't get into that, do we? I'm like, good point. We don't get into the details of that.
Yeah.
The Blanco is done, but in at that point, like I said, it's in the mid 50s percent. And then it's either going to be prepped to be bottled as a Blanco, or go into a barrel to go after become a reposado añejo or reposado deep.
So are you guys using deep well water? Is that what your main water source is, or do you have multiple water sources?
We have a deep well. We're fortunate enough that the Rancho Miravalle, the distillery, sits on a deep well that has amazing water, to the point that they bottle the water and they sell it in town. It's drinking water as well for a lot of a lot of people in town. So yes, so we're very fortunate. Not everyone, I found out, not every distillery has their own water source. And again, it's the valley, right? Valle, so you can get water. It's pretty easy to get water, but when you have it, when the source is your own distillery, it's even better.
I agree. It helps create another part of the DNA of somebody's brand. If you drink out of my well water and you go to my mom's and you drink her well water, it's going to taste different. There's different
Absolutely.
Minerals, the ground's different.
Yep,
It's really part of the, not only do the agaves create that terroir, and not only do the natural yeast create that, but I truly believe the water does as well, because it's
100%.
part of the area.
100%.
So is your fermentation all open fermentation?
No, it used to be for open fermentation for the other brands. Nohemí chose to go with closed fermentation. So we have both fermentation tanks at the distillery, and the ones for NueveUno it's a closed fermentation.
No, that's awesome. Is it stainless steel tanks? Is that what they're using?
It's stainless steel tanks, yes. And let me real quick mention, Nohemí is very she's like a the chemist, I call her. She has all the degrees you could have, and she has her master's. She's pretty soon she's going to start her PhD program, and she's found out through not just being studying and reading and learning about other brands and other processes, but also experimenting. I mean, I always wonder, Brad, what would you do if your family owned a distillery? You'd be in there every day experimenting, right? Aside from drinking the product.
Yeah.
But that'd be me.
I'd be the head taster. Head taster is what I would want to be.
Every single way. Yes. But she found out that what she prefers, and this is her taste profile, that her vision, it's closed fermentation, closed tank fermentation.
Gotcha. There's so many methods, and they all have such great contributions to tequila. So I love knowing, like how they made it. So that's also this. So stone oven, roller mill, and then on your distillation, are you copper or are you stainless steel?
No, stainless steel. Stainless steel as well.
Stainless steel. Okay.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, it's punching out a great tequila. I poured these a little early so I could let them rest a little bit. And the first thing I noticed on this is I've got a real citrus nose and a lot of the minerals, and then just a real great punch of cooked agave. And it to me is just a fantastic Valles tequila. This is what I like. And I'm a Blanco drinker. I started drinking, repos when I first started drinking, and now I drink a Blanco on a daily, and maybe an Añejo or an XA, even if it's like a dessert for me. That's like not my everyday. That's like maybe something I need, something that like a dessert, I guess is the best way to say it. So I really like the Blanco. Now, is the Blanco the same tequila that's going in the barrels for your other offerings?
Yes, 100%. And interesting you asked that question, because you're right. That's not always the case. Right. In our case, for NueveUno, Nohemí insists on that. So if when she tells me, we talk daily on the phone. So I'll be, at the distillery tomorrow. We're gonna be cooking. Well, what are you making? Blanco. Then my question is always, well, for what? Are you putting it in barrels after you're done? Or are you bottling? But it's always that Blanco is the base for all the other products that you have in front of you as well. Always.
That's the way to me, that's the way it should be, because the Blanco is the star of the show. It's what brings you the most agave and the flavor of what, to me, tequila is supposed to taste like. And everything else is just supposed to round it and shape it and give it some new nuances, versus throwing a different tequila in. And I've never really understood that. So I appreciate it. So when you're doing the repo, what kind of barrels are you doing for your aging?
She's been used whiskey barrels, American oak mostly. And funny, we just had this conversation, her and I, yesterday. Not exclusively. The majority of the barrels she's been, and again, it goes back to, she likes to experiment a lot. So And as we get into the black label there, that you have the Reposado Deep, I'll explain more. But in terms of what I mean by Nohemí experimenting, but in the case of the Reposado and the Añejo, in this particular case, yes, they're used American oak.
The best thing is that agave is the forward taste. That Blanco taste is there as star of the show, but you do get a little bit of a buttery feel with maybe a little bit more of a caramely vanilla touch, but you still have all of those minerals. And in the finish, I actually pick up some citrus and some cinnamon in the finish of that. That's fantastic. And now I'm curious if I got cinnamon when I tasted this one.
Okay. And we're going about 6 months on that Reposado, by the way, in terms of how long it's staying on that. And it's a blend, but she's checking barrels right around 5 months. They typically don't go past 6 months. So on average, it's going to be the majority of them. So on average, it's going to be about 6 months in the barrel for the Reposado.
So you kind of have a time frame that and then you age to taste. You may say, hey, this barrel's ready at 5 and this barrel's ready at 6.
Right. And that's what, as the master distiller, she'll go in there, she'll sample that individual barrel, and then she'll say, this is ready, or no, I need to give it another 2 weeks, another month, may leave it there. If not, she'll pull it. And when she has enough for the batch that we want to bottle, then she'll start doing her blending to match the taste profile that we want to, the original taste profile that, that's NueveUno Reposado.
Sure. I think it's amazing that people think that everything's this exact time frame, but this whole process is nature, right? It's temperatures, it's wood, it's the agave, it's all these things.
Cold was it?
It's never always going.
Yes.
Yeah. What time of the year did that one, ferment? What time of the year was that one barreled? Yes. There's so many factors there.
Absolutely.
That's really good, Repo. I really like that.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go into this Repo Deep. Because when I pulled this out of the box, I was like, "Oh wow, what is that?" So I was pretty fired up, and it's actually the first one that I popped. I let it rest, and it's the first one that I tasted, and I was like, "Okay, I can't wait to hear about this because this is awesome."
Okay, so our everyday lineup, if you will, it's the Blanco, Reposado, Añejo. Those three are organic, kosher. Where the Reposado Deep, and we did have an Añejo Deep, same concept, which is, again, Nohemí wanted to experiment. So in this particular case, Reposado Deep, what she wanted to do was, hey, what if at 6 months she has her Reposado, regular Reposado? What if she pulled it out and then put it in a finishing barrel, in a different barrel, and leave it there for a few months? What would happen? Well, this happened. So basically what you're seeing there, what you have there, what you're tasting there is a Reposado that's been sitting just like the other one, in a used whiskey barrel for 6 months. But then as she pulls it out, instead of bottling, what she does is she puts it in another barrel and she'll let it sit there for another about 4 months. So it's a total combined 10 months. And that's why it has that deep, dark finish, even darker than the Añejo, as you'll notice. The other thing is that it has kind of like a pinkish, reddish,
yes.
But once it's in your glass, then it's more like pink hue. And that's because, do you want to guess what the second barrel is, Brad? I'll tell you.
Is it a rosé barrel?
Close, but no. It's a used wine barrel, and it's a Hungarian barrel. Yeah.
It has a really cool barrel nose, on the smell. When it has this, like, you get a barrel, but it's not real distinctive to say, oh, that's a caramel or that's a vanilla. It has like just a really neat oaky smell to it. And the taste is phenomenal. It to me rivals some of my favorite añejos as a deep.
Well, it's a 10-month
really
Reposado.
Cool.
And like I said, I mean, it's, to some people, it looks like a, 2-year Añejo.
It really does. Now, is I'm going to assume on this, the barrels they use as a really light char. Did the barrels they use for this, did it have the same char and it's just coming from the different barrels of making it darker?
Correct. Because she goes light on all of her barrels. She doesn't like to do. She likes the more interaction with the wood as it is, and instead of just having had too much heat or too much char, not heat, char. So yes, light char and everything. So the not just the flavors but the color, you're getting more from the actual the type of barrel what the barrel had in there before. Like I said, in this case, it's used to be a red wine.
It's good. The finish actually has a little hint of a dryness to the finish, which is really nice. And then it's got a nice it lingers on the back of your tongue back there. It's got a great finish. This is really, really strong product. It's really good. I have to finish all of these too tonight after we're done.
Absolutely.
So
yeah.
I'll probably sleep good.
I'm sure you will.
So I always do. Yeah, that is fantastic. That's a great idea too. There's some other bourbons and whiskeys that they call it finishing in a different barrel.
Right. Yes.
And to bring that concept here and take a repo that still maintains an agave forwardness, that you still know that this is tequila. And sometimes you'll get a añejo that doesn't even taste like a tequila. With this being so dark and aged a couple of different ways, for her skills to keep that agave forwardness and the tequila flavor there with the barrel just enhancing is what makes this a great product. That's fantastic. I bet that would even taste great in any kind of Manhattan or an old fashioned. I only drink tequila old fashions if I'm going to drink an old fashioned. So that's awesome. All right, well, let's dive into this añejo, which just has a beautiful color to it. I like an añejo that's not over oaked or crazy dark and has this wonderful caramely color to it. It's a beautiful añejo, and I've tasted it already. I know it's really, really good too.
Yep, añejo, and for a while the añejo was my favorite. Like you, I'm drinking more blancos now, but I love our añejo. It's 18 months. And again, it's not, it's not over the top dark. You can see that the reposado next to it, it's darker than it. But it has to do with the fact that Nohemí wants all the tequilas to be very agave forward. As you pointed out before, you have to have a solid base, which I believe our Blanco is a solid base for the rest of the all the other ones that you have in front of you. And I think with the Añejo, she's done more than all the other ones, an excellent job in terms of, you're tasting the agave, you know that there's a solid Blanco behind it. But now there's that whiskey influence, the barrel influence, but it's not overpowering. I feel that you still know that you're drinking, a tequila, not a whiskey that, or more whiskey than tequila. This is more tequila than whiskey.
100%. It even has that nice peppery finish that sometimes an añejo will get faded out, where you don't get that peppery finish in the end. It still has that. It has all of the agave flavors, and it's just like somebody added a little bit of toasted caramel or a little bit of toasted creme brulee. That's the flavor that I get. Just a little bit of a creme brulee on top of the agave. That's that is excellent, my friend. I thought of what my question was. So
okay.
You talked about this coming out at 50. Did you say 55 or 56? Right.
50, yeah.
And then you guys are proofing it down with the well water that you have there, correct?
Yes.
And then are you proofing down before you go in the barrel? Or are you going in the barrel at a higher proof and then proofing down after you come out of the barrel?
It's going in the barrel at a higher proof. And then because you're going to lose, by default, you're going to lose some of that. You put it in a 56 into the barrel. When it comes out as a reposado, it's going to lose a few degrees. So it's going to go down regardless. And then once it's done, whether it's a reposado or añejo, then you still bring it down to 40% with water. So yes, but it's going in at the high proof.
So here's my next question, because I think 2024 in the tequila world, I'm going to say, was the year of the high proof. So many brands brought a high proof to the market. Do you guys have any plans of bringing a still strength or a high proof out to the market?
I just had that meeting a month and a half ago with Nohemí, where we're planning 2025, and she was presenting to me, or showing me, not presenting, but just sharing with me the idea she has. So what I can say is that is one of the ideas that she has for 2025. She's not sure yet. I'll tell you, I'll give you an example. She has an extra añejo that will be ready. So she's trying to decide, what do I do? What do I do with that, that extra añejo? Do we, something special, something limited edition? But also on the list, we had the Reposado Deep. I mentioned that we had, sold out, an Añejo Deep. So we bring that back. And then we talked about a high proof. And, so I think we're going to wait a little bit. Maybe I should know towards the end of Q1 what her decision will be. But I think it's a good idea. People are loving them. I think it also highlights many aspects of the brand. including whether that master distillers knows what they're doing. And we have so many talented people in the industry, as you know. So yeah, I'm interested in seeing what Nohemí can do.
When you get to taste it out of the still, which I've got to do that when we were in tequila, and I got so much more of that agave forward, tequila flavor. All of the minerals are highlighted, the herbal taste is highlighted, the citrus is highlighted, and which makes sense because when it all comes out, it's amazing. We're putting a little water in it, right?
Yeah.
So the
is.
high proofs is so cool. I mean, think about it. You could do the high proof in each one of these, and you could add so many things. It'd be amazing.
Like I
And
said,
so many
lots of
brands,
choices.
get. I make the joke that it creates FOMO, right? You put out something limited edition, and we're all afraid we're going to miss out on it.
Right.
But then for me, I buy that limited edition bottle, and now I don't want to drink it all because I get FORO, fear of running out and not being able to get it again. So I'm not a guy that puts them on my shelf and doesn't open them. I'm a guy that brings it home and goes, let's try it.
Absolutely.
Right. That's why y'all make tequila. That's why
Yes.
you do this. So is there anything about the bottle that we missed? Any special things? Because I think we covered most of it, but I love it so much. I wanted to make sure we cover everything about it.
No, that's pretty much it. I mean, if you look at our label, the white labels, that just signifies the regular Blanco Añejo, but then the black label, then that's that'll be the labels for the deeps, the reposado deep, and deep mean just deeper flavor, deeper above and beyond, doing more with it. So that's for the repo deep and añejo deep, and we're working on designing labels for all the different options. It doesn't mean that everything's coming out this year, or maybe that they'll come to pass. I mean, it could be that they're just ideas and that Nohemí is thinking about sharing with us, and some will come to fruition and some won't.
Now, do you guys do a single barrel program, or is that something you've thought about doing?
The distillery has done those. I've done them with the distiller with other brands in the past. So yes, it's something that we haven't done one yet. It's something that we are capable of doing, something that we want to do. So again, we'll definitely be doing it. What's happening with NueveUno in terms of the distillery, as I said, Enrique is part owner of Rancho Miravalle, and that'll never change. He owns that distillery with partners and siblings. But in addition to that, Enrique and Nohemí are building a NueveUno distillery that will be exclusive to NueveUno. And at one point, we'll move from 1426 from Rancho Miravalle to the new distillery. And I think a lot of it has to do with whether we're going to do, single barrel, or we're going to do other projects, or, hosting people. Then we're waiting for that distillery to be done, hopefully throughout, this year, late summer, maybe at the end of this year. It'll be ready, up and running, and hopefully you'll come in and visit us, and might throw a party down there for that. But that's one of the exciting things that I'm looking forward to. And again, we'll still be with Rancho Miravalle as well. That's never going to change.
I know never to ask for timeframes on construction in Mexico.
Yep. So yeah, what I like to say is that I ask Enrique or I ask Nohemí, and she says, well, she'll give me like a time. And then I ask Enrique, who's footing the bill, and he says, he prolongs it. And, people ask me, and I say, next month. The guy that's not putting a dime towards, the project's like, next month. But no, hopefully it'll be sooner than later. And I think at this point, it'll be more of a surprise. So I'll definitely let you know when it's ready to go.
Yeah, I would love we would come down. We're actually going to be in town in February for a couple of days in Tequila, and then a few days in Arandas, and come home. I've been going to Mexico for 20 plus years. We go to, of course, we've gone to all the resort cities. We've been going to Cabo San Lucas for over 20 years. That's where the aforementioned brand we were talking about, we would always go to Sammy Hagar's birthday party and hang out in Cabo San Lucas. And that's really where my love of Mexico and the Mexican people started to come from. We have so many friends from there, from Guerrero, from Nayarit, from Jalisco that we've met over the years. These people are, they're the kindest, loyal, just amazing people. And that's where our love for the area came from. And then when we went to Guadalajara, by the way, if you haven't been, this is probably one of the best airports I've ever been to. The airport is beautiful. And when the construction is done, I know it's going to be even more amazing.
Someday.
And then, when we went into Tequila and Artisanal and Ataman, the people are just, gosh, they're so amazing. Here, I'm a stranger that can't speak Spanish. Most of them couldn't speak English, and we communicated like we've known each other forever. It's a beautiful thing. It really, truly is.
I agree. I agree. And I too, I mean, I love it. Like, as I mentioned before, I go there quite often, and it's, and now that the project is up and running, when I go many times, I have a little bit more free time. So I venture out more, go, up to the highlands, try and visit other distilleries, just, learn or grow with, within the our industry, to see what other people are doing. And it's amazing. It's not just us in Amatitan, but there's, so much more throughout Jalisco. Brad, when you're down there, if you probably already have a full schedule, but if you have some time, I may not be there in February, but Nohemí's down there. If you have time, just let me know. And even if it's a quick meet and greet with her, or if you have time to visit Rancho Miravalle, or want to take a peek at the new distillery that's not done yet, we're right there in Amatitan.
That'd be awesome. When we get done, I'll shoot you an email and
Okay,
give you our itinerary.
sure.
We don't have anything on the 4th other than traveling from Tequila to Arandes, and we were going to stop at a distillery on the way to pick up a couple of bottles that somebody had for me, and then outside of that, it's just a travel day. So we would
Okay.
have time definitely to stay and.
Okay.
Unless we get stuck behind some of those people that ride their bicycles on that highway. What is
Then you're
up
really
with
stuck.
that?
Yeah. You see everything, right?
Wow. Yes, you do, for sure. All right. So I know you guys have great distribution. One, because I can find you in Indiana. And if you're in Indiana, you're probably in all of the other states because we are a little backwards on being able to get great tequila. So where's the best place that people can find you? Is there a website that they can purchase your products from if you're not in their area? And what states are you in?
So I would say that now you have a lot of the major liquor stores, in the independents that do a ton of online sales. So many times, if they don't have it, your favorite liquor store where you buy online, ask for it, they'll get it within a day, within 2 days. That would be the easiest way for you to get it. You're right. We are in Indiana. We're in a few kind of weird states. I would say that you wouldn't think like Indiana tequila. Yeah, people drink tequila in Indiana. But we also have a buy button on our website. So if you go to our website, NueveUnoTequila.com, and you click buy, then, and it's not us. We can't sell directly to consumers, but it's a partnership that we have with one of those independents out here in California, where you click, purchase, and you'll get your bottle. Fairly easy to get if you don't have a local shop around you that has the product. We are not in every state. In fact, right now, one of the things in 2025 that we'll be doing is just making sure that we're solid in a few key states. Don't want to be everywhere. We want to be in the right places.
Social media, where can everybody find you at?
Obviously, we're on Instagram, big on Instagram, NueveUno Tequila, and the other usual suspect, which is Facebook. I feel that Instagram now has become, at least for me anyway, it's so much bigger in terms of yeah, for brands, social media. I mean, it's part of our conversation with our marketing team. So definitely social media. In social media, definitely Instagram. NueveUno Tequila.
I'll have all of your website and then all of the links to all of
Yep.
your social media put in the notes here so people can find that. I'll add the
Excellent.
links into the YouTube and also into the podcast. So if you're listening on the podcast, go back and jump into the links and you can find all of their information. So I really truly appreciate you coming on today. I know all of you guys that are in this tequila business work crazy schedules and you're always on it. So I appreciate you taking the time to do this. I really appreciate the bottles. They will be drank and they will be repurchased and replenished. This is a great brand. I do have a couple of liquor stores that I'm friends with here in the Indianapolis area that I've mentioned it to make sure they got it on their shelves. And I've got a couple of great restaurants that I will also be saying, hey, I want to get this in your restaurant. So
I appreciate it. We're a
I
small brand,
appreciate
and
what you do.
we don't have those big budgets. So thank you, Brad. That really, and I mean that it means a lot to brands, like small brands, like not just us, but a lot of other small brands that I see behind you there. That means a lot when you get someone to go into a restaurant or liquor store and say, hey, I really enjoy this brand. Can you bring it on? Doesn't always happen, but it helps when it does.
It helps when it does, for sure. And I say there's two types of tequila, right? There's authentic, traditional,
Yes.
additive-free tequila,
Yes.
and then there's the industrial guys. And I think you ought to be drinking this traditionally, authentically made tequila where we can talk about who the owner is and that she's actually representing really the dawn of her family, right? And then able
Yes.
to be the person that is distilling it, tasting it, making sure that the product meets the guidelines of what the owner is. It's not a celebrity saying, hey, buy my tequila. This is a family, and this is their livelihood. And I just appreciate so much of that. And I appreciate what you do to bring this to everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Thank you so much.
All right, Alex. Well, I'm going to say cheers. I think it's in the middle of the day where you're at, so I'm able to drink in the evening. And I think you're probably drinking some water over there. Cheers, my friend.
Cheers.
I appreciate you very much. Thanks for coming on.
Likewise, Brad. Thank you. Bye.